Know this. Introducing the original blood clot podcast, not Baez. Soothing semantic. Special dedication all the way from New York. Boom. Yeah man, SWOT semantic. Yeah me know. Boom. Soothing semantic. Yeah me know. Big ups to the man now. Soothing semantic.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs, fish of all ages, this is the Soothing Semantics Podcast, and I am your host, Raphael Isaac Pinsky. And today we have a very special guest, a colleague of mine at Keller Williams Realty, and I'm very excited for this episode. Not to mention that we just currently went under contract on a property together, which was quite fantastic. In one day of putting it on the market, David brought me a buyer, so now we're rocking and rolling, which is awesome. Additionally, I wanted to mention, now that we're rolling, that I did not choose these couches. I know maybe some of you guys like them because you're just talking about it. They're butt ugly couches. If my landlord Melissa's listening to this, I'm sorry, not sorry. They're probably your great grandparents anyway. You probably don't like them either. But yeah, like the tassels, not my thing. Yeah. Definitely, like I don't think any guy in his late 20s, fuck, would go and choose couches with tassels, dude. Like right. Nobody's gonna do that.
It gives it a different feel, though, man. It's pretty cool. You don't see it very often anymore.
100%, dude. So here we are, guys. And so, Dave, tell the crowd how you got into real estate, even though I've heard the story. Cool. Spill the beans, man, even if you're open to sharing what happened when you were younger and how things have manifested into what you have now.
Yeah, so, well, thank you for having me on. And, yeah, my name is David Baez. I am a South Florida native. Grew up, not too far away from here. You can probably walk to where I grew up from here. And, yeah, I mean, I've been in the real estate business for about 4 years now, 4 years licensed. I've been really committed for the last 3 years. My first year was, kind of off. I really didn't know what to do. I was still working other jobs, which we can get into that a bit later. And, yeah, thanks for bringing up that contract as well. It was a pleasure to go into that for our buyer. And, yeah, it's been a long journey. Before real estate, right before I got into real estate, I was actually doing demolition construction. So I'm also in my early 30s now. So I had a son real early with my wife, Kathy. So I like to start off by saying that I'm also a proud husband, a proud father. I have an 8-year-old boy and a 3-year-old girl. 8-year-old boy is David Jr., the 3-year-old is Amelia, and my beautiful wife is Kathy, which she's the backbone of our team and of everything that we do. So we had a kid very early. I mean, we were both about 20 years old when we found out we were pregnant, and we had our first son at 21. And from there, I was like, man, what the heck am I going to do now? I really didn't have anything going for me. My past, I made a lot of mistakes, so I got into some, criminal mischief and stuff like that, which ended up, ruining my record and prohibited me from getting normal jobs and, doing what I thought was good for my family at that time. But everything happens for a reason. Got to know God along the way, and God is still a big part of my life. And he's the reason why I was able to change and, be where I'm at right now at the moment. So it's been a long journey. Our business is, getting close to doing over $500,000 in revenue. So that's where we are year to date, or that's our goal for the next year. And, yeah, man. So right before real estate, I was doing demolition construction, which was tough. I mean, we were getting paid $100 a day to break our backs from 4:30 in the morning to, 5:30 in the afternoon, or whenever we had to finish the job. So that was a great experience for me, man. It really taught me the value of a dollar. It really taught me what hard work is. And when I found out about real estate, when I tried to go do something else, that's when I really saw a great opportunity and said, hey, let's give it a shot. And here we are today.
$500,000 in revenue.
Mm-hmm. Close to that now, and next year we'll surpass that for sure.
Dude, it's an incredible accomplishment. It's so motivating. When we were discussing the 360,000.
Yeah.
in the other meeting. It's one of those things where there's no ceiling to it. It's so exciting.
Yeah.
And the more you can build that tree and expand that tree. I mean, I've just had this conversation several times, and I never get sick of it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, bro? Like there's
Sky's the limit here, man. That's the beauty of the business, and and that's the beauty of working for yourself. It's scary at the same time, but once you jump in and you see what's possible and you know what you have to do exactly to get there, it becomes a fun ride.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's just real estate's a trip, dude, because there's so many different things that come up. There's so many different ways to handle everything. And what probably most excites me is the outside the box thinking needed, because you really have to figure things out. Mm-hmm. Every transaction requires a lot of problem solving. So I think that's really where the profits come in. You know, what are you bringing to this client?
Yeah,
and there's
makes
so
it
much
fun.
for sure. It's so accomplishing, but it's very rewarding when you have a pretty decent issue. I mean, the issue is not anything minor; it's a pretty substantial complication. Oftentimes, and you need to really sort it out and kind of dissect it and say, okay, well, here's where we are. I either have option A, B, C, or D. B is doable. A and B suck. Let's go with D, you know? And you kind of just have to figure out why they're good, why they're bad, what we can do here, yada, yada. Yeah. Maybe talk to somebody, I can get advice from you, get advice from someone else. Yeah. And once it's all said and done and it's solved, it's amazing. Because you also have that confidence to go, and if that happens again, you're like, okay, I got this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I believe the most highly paid people in the world are just very good problem solvers. We just solve problems. That's really what we do, and we serve at a high level. And those are the people that usually tend to go the farthest in life. If you have a desire to solve problems for people, you're gonna make money along the way. It's like the Zig Ziglar saying, you get it. Help enough people get what they want, eventually you'll get what you want.
I love that. Yeah. I love that saying. But it's also with the understanding of not doing it for your own benefit. Yeah. But understanding that it's gonna come with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
because we're helping them get what they want. And at the end, I mean, we're gonna not have to worry about where the money's gonna come from. It's gonna come.
Right. It's such a good attitude. Yeah. The one thing I love about salespeople, depending on the salespeople, but talking about realtors and realtors who are good realtors, professional and have integrity, they just have this amazing mindset, man. You go across all of Instagram and you look at any top producing realtor. They don't even have to be top producing, but obviously you're going to want to look at someone who's doing better than you. You always just see this person so motivated. And we're all human. We have our down moments. We might not want to get out of bed on a Tuesday. It's not as if there's no time where we're feeling a little bit out of it. But for the most part, day in and day out, the people I've met in the real estate space down here are so locked in. They just have this attitude, all the positive attitude you need to be successful, they have it.
Yeah. And I totally agree with you. A lot of the top people that I see, and even people that are not at the top, at least not now, you just at least get a picture of where their head is at, and positivity is
that's a really good opening.
Yeah, positivity is a big part of, getting to success, because if the world is two things, and I forgot where I heard this, is energy and matter. If for what you want, all the objects, all the materialistic things, obviously this all matter, but you have to have your energy on point in order to have good energy come back to you.
I like what you said. You said even if somebody isn't there yet, meaning say like me, I'm brand, I'm new, so I'm not anywhere near where I want to be, but I can confidently say that people who get to know me know that my head's there.
Yeah.
And when I meet other people, if I meet another realtor that just came in a month ago, but I see that they're in the office, I see that they're about it, they just have a positive, happy energy, I know it's only a matter of time. And I mean, you never know necessarily, but you can get a much better picture of where they're going to be based on where they're at now.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's and I've been truthfully I've been surprised. You know, there have been people that I thought would really go very far and honestly didn't.
Yeah.
But I get, you start to get a good feel for it.
Yeah, no. And I was told that when I first got into the business by a couple of coaches, like the people in this business that you expect are going to go the farthest are the people that usually don't make it, and the people that you actually think are never going to do anything, those are actually the people that take off and end up doing big things. I've seen both in my experience in the business, and to me, it all just comes down to consistency. 'Cause it's like you said, we're human. We all can bring ourselves down every day. We can wake up on a Tuesday and not feel like waking up, which I even have those days as well. But it's what you tell yourself at that moment, and by you programming yourself to think positive and to be focused on your goal, it doesn't matter what gets in your way that day. Even if you wake up late, even if you start late, your mind is on finishing that day the best that you can and being positive about it, and it always turns out working out.
100%, dude.
Yeah.
So if I have a day where I wake up later, it's so easy to say, oh, well, my whole schedule's thrown off. Let me just piss the day away.
Yeah.
Get up, continue the day. So you get into the office an hour later. You get there 2 hours later, but you're there.
Exactly.
You have the whole day ahead of you. Don't just kill the entire day because it didn't go as planned.
Exactly.
And you never know. It could be one of the best days of your life, even though it didn't go that. You know what I mean?
Exactly, and it has been too. And a great example of that, I don't know if you've seen it recently, was the Olympics. Was when the girl that was running fell, I think halfway or when the race first started, and she still ended up winning at the end. And that was just a great example for me that no matter where you start, no matter how you start, just get back
I didn't
up
even
and keep
see
going.
this. That's crazy. This is
Yeah.
track? What was this?
Yeah, this was track.
Holy
Yeah, this
shit.
was track. And this was, I believe, one of the preliminary races. I don't even think it was a race that was that important. She still got up and ran and won.
She fell and still beat them?
Yep.
Damn.
Yeah.
How did she? That's crazy. How did she have enough time?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, that's next level. I don't know how she literally fell behind and was able to catch up. It's crazy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you put that on YouTube, it's gonna come out because it was going around everywhere, and a lot of people were talking about it, even at podcasts and interviews. And
I'll throw it in. I'll post it.
Final lap in the first team.
Down goes Hassan.
There's a fall.
It was a chain reaction. It started with Hawthorne last lap after going down. Hull is there as well, and your top six coming.
And even in a morning mastermind that I joined called Pivot Shift with James Shaw. He's another I think OP out of the Keller Williams in Naples, I think Naples. Not Naples, actually, Tampa. And, he has a morning mastermind, and that's another thing about keeping your mind positive, having something in the morning that as soon as you wake up is going to get you into that good positive state, increase your energy, and, make you want to kill the day.
The gym for me is that thing.
Mm-hmm.
The gym for me is
Yeah.
absolutely that thing. Or listening to, I'll either just listen to hardcore 90s hip hop or 2000s, whatever it is, just something to get me going. But just
I'm
lifting,
that way too at the gym, man. I listen to music at the gym.
dude. Or sometimes I'll listen to motivational
Or
music.
podcasts. I listen to podcasts sometimes.
Yeah, podcasts
It's
are good.
just sometimes too slow. Sometimes I need that energy to pump me up. But when I'm in the car, it's mostly podcasts for me. Rarely. Lately, I've been listening to more music because sometimes I felt like I had to disconnect. Sometimes I felt like I'm just too like wired in the game.
I totally hear that. You want to let your brain go a little bit, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, hold on, let me pull back a little bit because I feel my brain just getting all this content in, and sometimes you just have to, step back and really just observe and, let your brain cool off a bit.
Very accurate. And then
Yeah.
you kind of drift off. You enjoy. You relax. It's very true.
You recently had on your show Lee Rosa. He's also a coach. He's the team leader at our office, and he's still a coach of mine to this day. Even though I have a coach as well that we pay for, and he told me that in the beginning as well. Learning how to shut off is a skill that you're gonna have to learn, because in the beginning it was very hard for me to shut off. I was just always just going. I'll be in the office from 8 in the morning to 8 in the afternoon, or 8 at night basically, and just calling. Like if I didn't have an appointment that day, I'm just going. That really started causing an imbalance between me and my family. I was really not spending as much time at home with them, which is understandable. Most people think that's wrong and you're a bad father. No, I mean, I look at that as being responsible. I look at that as not being selfish, because I also want them to live their best life. So I want to make sure that I got the most that I can out of that day. So in the beginning, I was just very, very wired. Obviously now we're at a different state. We're making the money that we wanted to make, and now we're increasing that goal so that we can do bigger things with our lives. So now I can spend a bit more time with them, which we spoke about at the team meeting. We hired a VA. My wife is, involved more in the business to take more time off of my plate so I can focus on what's really going to bring us the income. And, just starting to figure out, life is not about balancing. I look at it as counterbalancing. So you just got to learn how to okay, this time is for business. Now I got to learn how to shut off. This time is for my kids.
Right.
Or if I'm on a date with my wife, put this phone away and focus on her, which we just had to do that as well because, the business can get in the way of a lot of things. But we also have to be aware that, we have a goal to get to, and we just got to figure out how to counterbalance that.
For sure. And now that you went into this, I'm going to ask you more of a personal question. What's it like working with your wife? Like, what's the experience like? Do you...
Oh, it's not easy. It's not easy working with your spouse. Yeah. She has a bit of a high D in her as well. So, I'm a high D. She's more of a high I, but she also has D in her as well. I also follow with my I. So we have very similar personalities, believe it or not. But sometimes we clash. Yeah, sometimes she wants to do things her way and me, but I come to let go of... I'm still learning how to let go of how I expect things to look and how I want it to look and just, pass it on to her. And that comes a part of leverage, with leverage is even like you wanting to let go of a client to another agent. And, and sometimes it's hard for you to let go of that. It's hard for you to let go of that control, but it's a skill you have to learn, even if it's with your spouse or an executive admin that you're going to have to hire. You're going to have to learn that either way.
It's good advice. Because it's not easy for a lot of people. I've thought about it. I've thought about, when I am married, what I would do if I worked with my wife. I'm not sure I could, but I don't know. It really depends on the woman. I think largely depends on, well, not depends on the woman, but it depends on largely who you are and who she is and how you mesh. And even if you're a good match, it could be that working together wouldn't be ideal. It's just a matter of kind of figuring it out.
Not letting the ego get in the way. I feel like it's a big thing.
That's so important, man.
It's just learning how to put that aside and say, hey, this is business. We're here to conduct business at the moment, and not mixing things with business and at home has really helped us. For example, when we stop working, we stop working. We don't talk to each other as business partners, and we keep going, which is another big thing in working with your spouse, is really learning how to communicate an effective level, because you got to remember that you go home with this person at the end of the day. You can't, at the end of the day, we also have to realize that not just in business, but in life, we're partners, and we have to communicate accordingly, to them.
But how do you shut off? Because you're working all day, right? So let's say you have this deal that's difficult, and I don't know, maybe Kathy's making food, she's making dinner, and you're in the kitchen, and you guys I'm sure it comes up in conversation. Like, oh, Bill is so difficult, or, oh, I'm so excited for this transaction to close, $50K commission, and my seller loves us, the seller loves us, blah, blah, blah. So I'm sure you guys discuss it occasionally, right? So how does that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, as far as coming to shut down at the end, I mean, I had to come to notice how to also communicate with my clients. So I tend to let them know, hey, after this time, you're not going to get to me. And it's not a big deal. It's okay, because guess what? Title companies and lenders and banks, they're not open at that time either.
100%.
So it doesn't matter what you tell me.
We're kind of expected, though.
Everything is always going to go to the next day. So, and I prepare my clients for that. I say, hey, if I don't answer my phone call, give me a text message. If it's a late message, I'll get back to you the next morning, as soon as possible.
Right. That's good.
So it's just, I think it's front loading that, and letting them know up front that, hey, this is how we're going to communicate. And that was very important for me, because I was always the type of agent that I wanted to answer every call, wanted to help you at any time. I'm always there, and I'm still like that to this day. I started to learn and to study the way that I have to communicate to the clients, to let them know that, hey, I'm also human as well, and I also have a family. I have 2 kids, so I had to let them know that, hey, after this time or after these certain times, this is the way that we're going to communicate. And I think also bringing on the additional leverage has helped me as well. For example, we have 2 showing agents that help us showing property. So whenever we're working with the buyer, we're not the ones showing the property. Our showing agents are showing the property.
So how do you work that, by the way? Do you pay them a percentage of the transaction, or do you pay them a...
Yeah, we pay them a referral fee at the end. Yeah, there's many other teams and agents that do it differently. They'll pay per door. They'll pay per door, and also a bonus at closing. We just pay at closing, because we've come to notice that they show the clients a lot more care, and they show them a lot more attention when they're not getting paid up front.
Interesting.
I've come to notice that if they're getting paid per door, any door that can come after that, they'll just charge. They won't really care about it, whether they close or not.
That makes perfect sense. They're getting their money. It's like, eh.
Exactly. They're
You
getting
have-
paid. Yeah. So I want somebody that's really going to be involved with the team, because we're very big on customer service, and that's something that we can talk a bit about that as well. Is that when we started getting a lot of business and we did not have leverage, a ton of business started coming in and our service started dropping a lot. We weren't communicating with clients on time. We weren't reminding them about the utilities that they had to connect the day of closing. So we just started seeing a lot of things falling through the cracks. And not only in communicating with clients, but also in taking new inbound business, they were falling through the cracks. So that's when we really started seeing that we needed that leverage. And by us getting the showing agents really helped us out a lot.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah, because it's always spoken about. I hear it with Aaron. I hear it from Lee. I hear it from so many agents, so many experienced agents. And they talk about the simple notion that there's so much time. There's only so much time in a day.
Yeah.
So once you start to build the business, once the business starts to grow and you have more clients than you can handle, if you're trying to take care of everything, you're either going to lose out, you're going to start losing people.
Yeah.
Your service is going to start to dwindle. It's going to start to, you're going to have a worse service because you can't, you're going to start to create this efficiency factor, I think. You want to get everything done, but you're not providing the proper service.
Exactly.
So that's where the income servicing and income producing comes in, which is so important.
Which is why leverage is very, very important. I mean, if you want to have a very successful business, if you want to have a business that you have raving fans, which we're grateful to have that, which raving fans, just a term using Keller Williams, that it's a client that's going to be a client for life. They refer you business. I mean, I have a client that I'm not even the one that sold his house, that he bought his house with me. He came in through an open house. We showed him a couple properties. He said clearly that they had another agent, but we just clicked. We're like, okay, let's go show you a couple properties. They still ended up buying a different property with their agent. And 2 years later, they sent us like about 5 referrals that we've closed on. They're sending us another 2 active clients.
Wow,
that
and you
are
didn't
coming
even
in.
close with that person.
And we didn't even close with that person. Wow. And, most likely, who are they going to call when they go to list that house? Or sell that house?
You and Ghostbusters.
Yeah, for sure. And exactly. And it's a good one, by the way.
Thank you.
So, I mean, they're sending us referrals. And these are not just people that send us referrals. These are actually people that say, hey, I'm calling these guys. If they don't call you, I'm saying, hey, why haven't you called David yet? Like, go ahead, start the process. Like, they're raving for us. They want us to succeed. And, not only that, they want their clients to work with us. They want to make sure that they don't call anyone else.
Well,
So
because if
it's very
somebody
important to have
knows,
people like that.
oh, dude, I couldn't. If you have gone above and beyond for somebody, they know you've proven that they can trust you.
Yeah.
They see it, they experienced it, they got what they wanted, and they're happy. They're going to confidently to give you over to another person because they know that they're doing. You know what I mean? It's like I got you. So as a friend, Bill calls Tom. Bill goes, "Yo, I need to sell my house. You know anybody?" I got this guy, David.
Yeah.
And there's no hesitation. He's like, David's got it covered.
And in the beginning, exactly what you just said there. In the beginning, that's my goal. I want everyone that I come in contact with, that I've done business with, that is in my sphere, that is in anywhere at arm's length, that is not in the real estate business, that they think of me or they think of my team whenever they want to do anything regarding real estate. And that's our goal, is to be the real estate company of choice here in South Florida.
I've never bought or sold a house with you, dude, but I as soon as I met you, I just felt very. You give over a very trustworthy essence to you. Like, you're just a nice, easygoing dude. Yeah. But at the same time, you have a mentality where you're going to get things done. Like, you're going to drive through the wall and make it happen at the same time, which is just, it's a great combo.
Yeah.
And
that's what I want to articulate to my clients, is that in the beginning when I came, I got into the business with some agents that were not the best agents. And I told myself that I'm always glad that I went through that experience, because it taught me how not to be that type of agent. Like, it actually showed me the type of agent that I do not want to be like. So I'm not going to go into detail on that, but it may really open my eyes to say, hey, I really want to be a resource for my clients. I really want to be a resource for my family. And I want to make sure that I do everything, with ethics. I want to make sure I do everything with honesty and integrity. And I know if I focus on that, the money will follow.
100%. And you know what I'm thinking about? There's also the idea that agents can either work as a team or they can work against each other.
Yeah.
And if I have a realtor that's extremely difficult, if they're nasty, then I'm gonna have to just somewhat match that because, and let me go into that a little bit. It's not in an immature way like, oh well, I'm gonna get you. It's more that if they're trying to get one on me and I have a client I have to represent, then I'm gonna have to do what I have to do, in the sense where I'm still gonna try to be cordial as best as possible, but I can't buckle and let anybody walk on me. At the same time, I'm always focused on working as a team. Right, even though my fiduciary duty is to my client, so if it's to the buyer to get the lowest price, if it's to the seller to get the highest, I want to be able to work something out where we're all happy, ideally. Yeah. So thank God all of the realtors I worked with, some honestly were more professional than others. Some of them were definitely harder working than others. I just did a recent transaction. I'm going to send this to her, this episode, because I'm giving her a shout out. But I did the Fort Lauderdale listing. I worked with a phenomenal realtor. Her name was Teal Sherman.
Was that the Gulf Ocean condo?
Yeah. So just a really, really sweet person, nice person. And it was not an easy transaction. Yeah. And we just were communicating throughout the transaction. We got along very nicely. It's just so important. If you're dealing with a tough transaction,
it's very important.
And both of you can work together. Yeah. And that's what we were doing, There were times that were stressful, but it was never like you this and you this and you that. We were, we had our stressful experiences, but through and through, we got everything taken care of. And if anyone were to ask me, "Oh, you ever heard of Teal? Do you think she's a good?" I would vouch for her like 1,000%. I'd be like, phenomenal.
And that's all we have in this business. I mean, many people don't realize that we have to be good with a lot of the other agents. I've gotten many deals where they had multiple offers, and their people are sending out offers better than us, and we got the deal because we have worked with that agent before. They know how we work. And it's very important to have that, because it's not only going to be good for you, it's also going to be good for your clients. If you have a client that really wants a house and you know that agent and you worked with them before, it's going to help. It's going to help you out a lot. And going back to where right before the water started bubbling there, I was actually going to bring up about that condo when you were getting that listing and you told me, hey, I'm getting this listing, and you showed me, I was like, hey, it's a great property. And I just remember saying, just be optimistic, because we're the only ones that can be optimistic in our own business. We can always say, well, something's going to go wrong here, something's going to look bad there, and the price may not be good. But we have to keep it optimistic for our clients, and if we're within that realm of the right pricing, we just have to be confident for them. And that's what this game is missing a lot. We have to be confident because the client feels that. So we have to know what we're doing. We have to be confident that we can do what they're requesting us to do, and that brings business at the end of the day.
100%. I think there's so many. I love what you said. It's 100% true. There's a lot of people that don't. Well, a lot of people don't like people, right? And in a relationship business like real estate, we're going to deal with people that we don't click with, right? These are people that we wouldn't go and have a drink with. We're different, right? So with those kinds of people, I was telling someone this the other day, it's so important to be able to find some kind of common ground with that person. So even if this person is a polar opposite, if we're completely different people, if we have a common interest, okay, these cat allergies are not easy, but we're managing. It's not COVID, guys. Calm down. So the common ground allows for the relationship to blossom, even if it's not the same as you and I, right? You and I click very nicely. There might be another realtor, another client that I don't click as well with, and I tend to get along with most people, but I'm going to try to find something. And usually it just happens through conversation. Whether it's some sort of sport or cars, clothing, whatever the conversation is, once you can find that thing, even if the person might not be, I'm kind of being repetitive here, but it's just such an important component. Mm-hmm. I think I'm trying to think if I mentioned that in the Zoom meeting. I might have. But it's so important. I think a lot of people get frustrated and they get fixated on I just don't like this person. Mm-hmm.
It's all ego, yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like sometimes we have to put that aside. Like, I mean, there's going to be a lot of people that you run into, especially in this business that, and something that I always kept in my mind is, for example, like when I'm calling for sell by owners or expires and they start, ranting, saying disrespectful stuff, saying mean stuff. I can just say, hey, I don't like this person. I could just say, hey, thinking positive, they probably just had a bad day. I'll just call them back later. And many times I'll call them back later, or a few days later, or a week later, if, whenever I get in contact with them, and they'll be a completely different person. Or I'll just knock on their door and they're a completely different person. So I think it's also, we never know what somebody's going through in that exact moment. We don't know if they just went through something. We don't so I tend not to judge people too quick. If somebody, people are going to talk about you regardless. People are going to either like you or don't like you. So I tend not to focus on that. I just always tend to help people. Even if I know somebody on the other side may have some opposite feelings about me, if they ask for help, and that's just in my nature. I like to help people. Yeah. And that's what I feel has made us very successful in this business, because we have had a lot of sellers that they started out very difficult. Like when we make that initial call, like when we start listing the property, they'll just make it very hard for us. Very, very hard. And when we've come to the closing table after closing, they'll actually come up and most of the time thank us and say, hey, I was really going through a hard time. I was having financial difficulties, or a family member passed away. And we would have never thought that. We would just thought that they were just a bad person, or they were just, that's who they are. And you'll be surprised, man. I mean, at the end, we just battled through that because we wanted to help them. And sometimes we really felt like pulling the plug on certain deals, man. And we were just like, you know what, let's help them because they need this, and let's keep the ball moving after.
Yeah, and it's well worth it at the end of the day.
It is.
It ends up panning out.
Yeah, it is. Definitely is well worth it. And and going back to leverage and, making sure that we communicate with people directly. I got a quote from somebody that I heard when I first started in the business, and I'm really starting to see that now when it comes back to having time and having time for what you want to do, like going to the gym, spending out time with family. And the quote was, in the beginning, you're going to trade your time for profit. And then as you go down into your business, you're going to end up starting to trade profit for time. So that's when you start hiring leverage, like having a showing agent and paying something at the end. Yes, I'm making less money, but I also have more time to focus on sellers, to take my kids to a baseball game, to take them to the beach, do whatever it is I want to do. For example, we're here now having this podcast.
You just gave me a great question. Hold up. I'm just getting excited.
Why I said it. This is why I said it. Go ahead.
No, go on.
Oh, you want me to go
ahead?
ahead?
Yeah, you continue, and then I'm going to throw it in.
Okay, well, I was just going to say, like, for example, we're here sitting now, and our showing agents is out there showing property. And
it's
we're
amazing.
getting messages about.
How much do you give real quick? How much do you give them at closing generally?
That's a great question. Right now, we're actually going to be going through a bit of a change in how much we're offering because our price point is getting a lot higher. So, and also because it comes time that
when you say price point, you mean just the transactions you're closing are more.
Correct. Yes. Okay. Yes. So our average price point for the last 2 years was like around 200, 250. Last year went up to about 350, and now we're probably averaging 450, 500,000. So, and depending on how much property they show, we think that we're going to make probably an adjustment to that. But at the moment, we are offering 20% at closing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And how do you find these showing agents? Generally newer agents? Who are people that
generally newer agents that are hungry, eager, that want to work, that want to get to know the business as well while they're making money. So it's kind of like an internship,
Brandon and Rashad. How you doing, Brandon and Rashad?
Yeah. Exactly.
They're in the office. They work, man.
I see those kids in the office, man, and it's really inspiring because I was one of those agents when I first started. I wasn't fortunate enough to start at an early of an age as they did.
Especially Rashad. He's 18, man.
Yeah, that's amazing, man.
He's a smart dude.
By the time he's a few years in the business and he keeps going like that, they'll be very successful.
I told him that. I said, dude, I started at 26.
Me too, 27.
I told him, I said, you have such a head start. If you take this seriously, I said, because I speak to him, he's a smart kid. I'm like, if you buckle down now, I mean, you can be a millionaire.
Yeah.
Definitely a millionaire by the time you're my age.
Yeah.
And I said, just think about that. Like, it's crazy.
And that's the great thing about this business, man. Is like no matter what you get, no matter at what age you get in, no matter where you start, there's always a way to find business. You just have to have that hunger and that hustler mentality, and going back to talk a bit when I was younger, I was always the type that I always just loved to sell. I sold everything from shoes to snacks at schools to, fourth, fifth grade, printing out Dragon Ball Z pictures in my printer and selling them for $5, $2, $3 when they're turning Super Saiyan. I was actually selling those because those were the times when those binders, 3-ring binders, started coming out where you can put like a page in the front and that'll be like a cover page. So we were just selling these pictures of Super Saiyans, Dragon Ball Z, and everybody was putting them in their folder, like as their cover folder.
I also did. Yeah, I sold Gatorades. I sold these headphones. I used to go to this store called ShopRite. That's one of the very common stores. It's like a tri-state area store instead of like Publix or Winn-Dixie.
Oh, okay.
And I remember seeing the set of headphones and earphones, whatever you want to call them, and they were like, I don't know, $5-6. I sold them for $15-$20 to a bunch of guys at my school, and people were buying them. I must have sold like 20 of them. I didn't sell that many. And then one of my buddies is like, "Yo, where are you buying that? Where are you buying these?" I'm like, "I can't tell you. That's the whole point of the sale, you know." And I'm like, "It's not like you're getting a bad deal. You're getting, this is a good price." And then one of my buddies found them in ShopRite, and he was like, "Oh, okay, now I know how much you're buying them for." And I didn't feel guilty, but I'm like, that's how this works. Wholesale retail. I'm like,
that's
you know what I mean? Like that's technically it was already retailed. Now I'm retailing it again.
Exactly.
But ultimately, that's that's what a product is. It's always going to be made cheaper than you're selling it. I'm like, if you don't want to buy it from me and you found out where it's at, go get it.
Yeah, it matters where you're buying it too. The convenience of buying it at school rather than walk into the shop right to get it, that's what makes it a lot. Like, for example, when you go buy a bottle at a liquor store, it's not going to be the same price of bottle when you go drink it at a lounge in Miami Beach. It's going to be an astronomical price. They're even
charging
double
you
or
for a
triple.
cup as much as the bottle costs.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and that's because the convenience. You're paying where you're at. Yeah.
Right.
So that's very, and me growing up with a single mother, my mom and dad split when I was about 12, 13 years old. So that really shifted my mindset. Because, me and my dad weren't having communication from like about 13 to like about 17, I'd say. So about 4 years, he moved to Orlando. He had another daughter up there, which is my sister up there, which I love her very much, Jalen. And I also have a younger brother here and a sister, Daniel and Jennifer. And, growing up with a single mom and me as the oldest kid just made me realize like, hey, I really have to help her out. She, came here at 18 years old. She didn't graduate high school. She dropped out because she was pregnant with me at 17. So she had to start working. So, it really gave me a different mindset, growing up as to, about money mainly, because I seen a lot of arguments about money. I seen them split about money. And
bro, money is such a big reason.
Yeah. As much as people like to say that, hey, money is not important, no, money is very important. Money is very important.
I think it's mostly people, bro. I think it's two things. I think it's people without money use it as a coping mechanism to act like it's not important.
Exactly.
As if they wouldn't want it if they could have it. If I could hand it to them, they'd take it in a second. And then wealthy people to kind of try to level with poorer people. They go, it's not everything. Okay, so you can give it to me then. If you don't want it, I mean, all the money you work for, it's not. It's a bit of horse shit when they do that because it's like no one says it's everything.
Yeah.
It's not. Of course, it isn't everything. People just misunderstand that you have to take it with a grain of salt. You can be rich and unhappy. You can be, I wouldn't say you can be poor and happy. There are people who are poor and happy, but it's all a matter of mindset. But there are a lot of things that money gives you. Exactly. And so long as you're well-rounded in the other areas of your life, then money will bring you a lot of good. There's no other way. There's no way about it. It gives you options. Yeah,
there's a saying. Many people say that money changes who you are. Then that is not true. Money actually amplifies who you are. So if you're a bad person and you get a lot of money, you're just going to be a bad person with a lot of money.
Right.
If you're a great person, it's just going to amplify that. Now you're going to be a great person. You're going to have money. You're going to help people out. Mm-hmm. And being poor is not how much money you have in your bank account, rather than a mindset. 100%. Being poor is 100% a mindset, because the way that you think is really just going to show or really going to tell you what are you going to do in life financially. 100%. So and many people, they look at money the wrong way. I mean, I see it as you're going to be stressed. I mean, life is going to be stressful, life is going to be difficult, life is going to be hard with or without money. I don't know, but if you ask me, I'd rather be stressed and life is difficult with money rather than without money.
Right. 100%.
100, and I would never go back, so
there's a lot you
think about it differently. And I actually believe that not wanting to get money, not wanting to make money, at least to do good, is actually very selfish, because there are people out there that by you getting somewhere, it inspires them to get somewhere. By you going out there and making money, you're able to help your mom, you're able to help people on the street, you're able to help somebody that doesn't have any clothes. You know, I think about almost 10 years ago, we had a big change in my life too, where my father got deported to Dominican Republic. Now I'm blessed and fortunate enough that I'm able to get him. You know, a few years ago he got deported. He spent a few years in prison for, you know, being at the wrong place at the wrong time, hanging with the wrong people, and he did not have papers, so he ended up being deported. And luckily, I was just starting my career in real estate then, and you know, grateful to be where we're at now, because now we have an apartment over there for him, because he's a lot older now. And in a foreign country, it's very hard for you to get a job unless you own your own business or unless you have connections. So, and it's very hard over there, and it still is, but you know, we're able to support him. We're able to get him a place, able to give him food. So, you know, if I wasn't doing this, we don't know where he would be. We don't know where a lot of people wouldn't be. So, and that just makes me want to keep growing, keep making more, because I know that not just myself, a lot of people around me are going to be affected positively by that.
Yeah, dude, your dad probably has so much appreciation for you, man. I can't even imagine.
Oh, he tells me every day. He tells me every day. Yeah, he tells me every day. And like I was mentioning before, I mean, the first few years that him and my mom split, we weren't in communication. He was still, my dad's a great guy. He loves to party. He goes out there. I still tell him, hey, you still think you're 18 years old.
Yeah.
And he's 56, you know. It's not that he goes out and parties, but it's just his mentality. He doesn't worry about things. He's not the type to have his own business. He always worked.
Right.
So it's a very different mindset to the mindset that I have.
Right.
I believe in working for yourself. I don't believe in going out there and having a salary. I believe that's just you giving your life up. For example, when my kids want to go to college, I'll say, I'll only pay for your college if you're going to be a doctor or a dentist or a lawyer or something like that. If it's not, then you know, go find out what you're going to do, because to me, I don't see it as value for them.
I could not agree more, dude. And I got a degree in business, and I couldn't agree more, man.
Yeah.
I think college is becoming less and less of an important.
And the costs are rising.
But it's a business, man. College is a business.
Yeah, 100%.
But I wanted to get into something. You were talking about taking your kids to baseball games. How do you feel your kids see you? Because kids are very, very intuitive. They're sponges, and they're brutally honest. They'll tell you things that adults won't tell you because they don't know better. They'll be as straightforward and honest as possible. So how do you feel as a parent, being that you're so successful, thank God, at your age? How do you feel that your kids see you? I'm sure they love you and look up to you. What kind of energy do they give you, as far as, you know, from a work perspective? Because I'm sure they know. I'm sure they get an idea that their dad is doing well and their mother's doing well and all that.
Well, yeah, man. And that's a great question. Thank you for asking that.
I'm curious about this.
Yeah, my son is amazing, man. He's one heck of a character. He's like me times 10, you know, and it sometimes even scares me. Because even though I have the mindset that I am, I strive, you know, sky's the limit for me. His mind is just so much bigger, and that's what I feel like me being successful has brought him. He sees me. He says, you know, he even tells me, I want to be a realtor. He's like, I want to be a realtor when I get older. Sometimes he changes. Sometimes, you know, I may be a doctor, or I may want to go to space and stuff like that. But he always comes down to say, Dad, I want to be a realtor. Like, I'm going to be a real estate agent. And it makes me proud, because he just sees what's possible. And he brings up, hey, Dad, I can't wait till we're in our Lamborghini or we're in our Ferrari. You know?
Dude, do you understand, though, that a kid his age, it's all you, meaning it's all you. People don't realize that.
Yeah.
If you are just so positive and you give off, you radiate like this motivated, I'm gonna get what I need to get mentality.
Exactly.
Your kids just soak it up, and it's like you're building this awesome human. You're you're giving the world an awesome human. There aren't enough of them, and
it's amazing. It's amazing. It's
dope,
amazing.
dude.
It's amazing to watch. It's amazing to watch him grow. And, you know, he's my big why. I want to make sure that he grows up with that mentality that he can do everything. I want him to grow up and have a happy home, because I did not have that. I want him to grow up thinking that anything's possible, because I didn't have that. So it's just very amazing to watch. And the way that he just speaks, he's, you know, for a kid 8 years old, he's very articulate. He tells you what he wants. He doesn't take no for an answer. And you know, I always tell him, always just ingrained in his head, don't ever let anyone tell you what you can't do here. Anything that you put your mind to, whatever the mind can conceive, you can achieve.
My grandmother always used to tell me that.
Yeah.
That's why we also, you know, my grandmother raised me, so we definitely didn't have much in the money department. But she always used to tell me that growing up. She was
I'm still grateful that my mom, you know, even though my mom came from a third world country and everything, she was always very supportive as far as her mindset. She never told me once when I was getting out of a job that I was making $2,000 a month, breaking my back. And I told her I was going to go, hey, I'm going to go try out this real estate thing. She was always very supportive. She always told me, I know you can do it. I know you can do anything you want. And it's not something that's usual for somebody to see that comes from a third world country. But as she also, since she got here at a very young age, she also saw, what this country can do. And, she even saw what real estate can do, because my mom bought a house, 30 years ago here in North Miami Beach for $80,000. It's now worth $500,000,
That's crazy.
And she's almost done paying it off, so it's, and it's amazing, because now she loves real estate as well. We're closing on a investment property that we're going to make an Airbnb. She's the one that's going to be managing it as far as cleaning, because that's what her background was. She was always like a housekeeper and, working in buildings and maintenance.
Dude, you've given your family so much, man.
Yeah, man. And because they've given me a lot too. They made a big sacrifice. Unfortunately, a couple months ago, my grandfather passed away from my mom's side, my mom's father. And that was very difficult, because he's the one that brought us all here. My mom has 5 sisters, 4 brothers, 6 sisters, actually. One passed away when she was a baby, but 10 kids in total. And, he brought all of them here along with their husbands and their wives. And I was the first one to be born here in my family.
Wow.
In 1990, yeah. They got here in 1985, 1986, 1990. My mother and my father met. I was the first one in my family to be born here. Anyone that's older than me and my family were all born in Dominican Republic.
Wow, dude. It also just brings me to the classic America's Amazing conversation.
Yeah, man. The American dream is still out there, and it's a for sure thing, man. People still want that. People still want home ownership, which is why we're in. I look at it the best business that anyone can be in, because it's something that's always going to be in demand. So somebody's always going to need a roof over their head. So in this business, we can use this as a tool to take us to places much farther, because I also knew that when I first got into the business, I did not want to be the agent that's 80 years old, 70 years old, still out there showing properties and going on appointments. I knew that I did not want that. I have a goal of retiring and working if I want to or where I want to by the time I'm 40, 45. Just to even have that option doesn't mean that I'm going to stop, but at least have that option that, hey, if I want to stop working now, I can stop working.
I think the exact same way. I want to be in a position where I can if I want to, but I don't need to.
Yeah.
And then you can play the field. You can develop property. You can create the Baez building.
Yeah.
Just something with a Dominican flavor or something. You just do whatever it is you want to do. You build this complex in somewhere in Miami. It's got your own flavor. You and your wife design it together, and that's just your playtime. And you, God willing, make a great amount of money off of it in the process. But it's like, you're not in a position where money is in control of you. You can leverage it to your advantage and just, benefit from it, enjoy it.
Exactly. The key is to eventually have your money work for you.
Yeah, dude.
It's very important. Very, very important. And I think that's what a lot of newer agents that come into the business fail to do, is that they fail to plan. And I believe when you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. And when I came into this business, I had obviously not the first few months or even first year, but eventually I just wanted to know what the top people are doing. I wanted to know what the people that are in their 50s and 60s that are where I want to be, what did they do? How can I learn from their mistakes? So I just started reading books. I started listening to a ton of podcasts, which I still do, listening to a ton of interviews, and just started seeing what they were doing to get to where they're at. And I just came to find out that a lot of the top agents, or a lot of the people that are successful in real estate, they use real estate sales as a tool to get them to where they want to be, or to live the life however they want to live it. And that's what I plan to do, is use the resources, use the revenue from my real estate sales to fund buying properties, to fund making investments, to fund buying other businesses. So that way passive income can start coming in, and that is the end goal, is passive income.
Oh, dude, I'm definitely far from where I want to be in that regard.
Yeah.
But I can't wait for that. And the podcast is hopefully going to be one of those passive income streams.
It will, man. It will.
I'm just really looking forward to it. I'm not far off, man. I'm not far off. I have one of Aaron Novello's very good friends, and Aaron coached him as well. Jose Luis Morales. Shout out to you, brother. He is a stellar realtor in California, Ventura County, somewhere in Cali. I'm not sure where it is. So also just such a driven, Great dude, so motivated and driven. I follow him on social media, and he just recently monetized his YouTube channel. And I think in the past few days, he's making like $6 a day or something. But just to see, even though it's $6, he spent tons of time creating content, and now he's at the beginning stages of making money well. It doesn't matter that it's a very minute amount of money. It's the idea that now money is coming in from all that hard work.
Yeah.
So that money will grow. There's no question. That 6 will turn to 12, to 24, to 30, to 4. He knows that. I know that for sure. Because he's not going to just shut the light off. He's definitely going to keep it going. So when I see that, and I'm at almost 560 subscribers, I need 1,000. I'm getting there.
You're gonna get there.
There's
man.
no way I'm not. So I'm stoked for that.
And that's
I'm
the
so
mentality
excited.
you have to have. And then after you get to that 1,000, that's 10,000,
10,000.
100,000. You
Yep.
know, and it's just keep going from there. Sky's the limit, man.
Yeah, dude. And at that point, God willing, I mean, there's just endless opportunity.
Yeah.
Because you really want to get yourself in front of as many people as possible. It's not necessarily about being famous as much as it's about that proximity. Just you get your name out there. Especially in a business like real estate.
Yeah.
If hundreds of thousands of people are watching my content and they know I'm a real estate agent and they get to know me, they see how I am,
Yeah.
they see how I interact with people.
And you doing this inspires me as well, because I know that I have to get more comfortable being in front of a camera. It's not that I'm not comfortable being in front of a camera. I am. I just have to make it a habit of getting on more often. And that's something that me and my coach are actually going over now, is making videos regarding real estate, as simple as, how the process is going to look once you go under contract, how the process is going to look once we list your property, how does it look, once for any step of the process in the business. And that's something that we're going to be creating. And this just inspires me that I know that I can, and I just have to add that on top of what I'm doing already.
Since I started, because I was not a tech guy at all. So I went to this electronics store in New York called B&H. It's world famous.
Okay.
You have successful people from all over the world that go there, and
Sounds familiar, yeah.
it's actually owned by Hasidic Jews. The Jews with the curls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they own it. So there's a bunch of them in there.
Oh, cool.
But you have A-list celebrities going in there. We're talking, J-Lo and other people I'm sure have been, but like very, very famous people. So I went in there, made an appointment with this guy who does video, and I basically gave him the idea of what I wanted to do, and he told me what to buy, and he sent me to different departments in the store, and each person is a pro in that field. So cameras, you got a camera person. Videos, you got a video person. Audio, you got an audio person. And they ask you what your budget is. They ask you what you're looking to accomplish, and they're just phenomenal. So B&H, I would definitely, if you want any promos, I got you. $5,000 an episode. 5,000. We were gonna pay you 10. Say no more. So yeah, B&H, you guys should definitely reach out to me, because I love your store. Like what you guys are about. I mean, they're top notch.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
yeah, I'm definitely equipment. I've learned a lot about. All this wiring might seem a little complex. I had no idea what I was doing before, and now I just hook everything up. But I'm excited. I'm definitely going to be getting new microphones soon. Be getting the standard like podcast mic. So Joe Rogan and all these other big podcasters, they use this awesome. It's called a Shure SM7B. These mics are like, I don't know, what are these mics? $30 to $50. Those mics are like $400 a piece, $350,
wow.
$400 a piece.
Yeah.
So
You'll
eventually,
get there, man. You'll
yeah,
get
no,
there.
100%. What I want to do is I want to get 4 microphones. So at least 4 microphones.
Yeah.
So this way I can interview a couple of people at once.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. And one thing I train myself to do, to make sure that I accomplish something and I affirm that it's already mine, is, and anyone of your listeners can take this as a tip, is removing the word try from my language, removing the word but, removing the word hope. I hope that this can happen. I just removed all that, and that has brought me tremendous change into like just affirming what is mine. If I say I'm going to do this, I won't say try. I can't remember the last time I said that word. So I always told myself, okay, I'm going to do this. If I'm not, I'm going to say I'm not, or not at this time. I'm not going to say try. If it's a try for me, it's something that I'm not really going to do. So, and that's just going back to, your subscribers. You're going to get there, man. You're going to get there. You are going to get there. It's not that you're going to try. You're not going to hope that you're going to get there. You will get there. It's not a matter of if, but when.
100. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said that when Lee was asking me, if you remember, if Lee was asking me what I've learned now that I didn't know later. It was just a matter of knowing. So
yeah,
at this point, it's like I think I'm doing everything I need to do where I am.
Yeah.
And of course, it's funny to say that. Of course, I can be doing more, but I know I'm on the right track.
Exactly.
Because you can always be better, but you also if you don't know what you don't know, then you only know what you know. So,
and that goes back to what you were saying earlier about just jumping in the pool. It's not about dipping your toes in the water. You got to jump in head first, and you got to and focus on the activity. You're focusing on the activity. You're doing the right thing. If we go back to last year, and you told me this year I was going to pass what I did last year and make double the amount of money, which it was a goal, and I told myself I am going to do it. And by me saying that, now I'm here, and I'm like, wow, I did it. But if we were to go back, I was freaking shitting on my pants when I set that goal, And even the same thing for the year before that and the year before that. But I just decided that, hey, I'm going to shoot for the stars, and the worst that can happen is I'll land on the moon,
right,
So
right.
that's the mentality we have to have, and that's not being afraid to fail either. Many people don't start because they're afraid to fail.
They also hate looking stupid. I think so many people, I have a lot of friends like this, and I love them all. It's being new at something, starting something different. You've been doing something for 5 years. You're good at it. You don't really like it. It's okay. But you are in this, you have this sense of comfort where everyone knows you're doing all right and okay. But there's this thing you'd much rather be doing, but it requires you to discontinue what you're doing now and take a complete leap of faith and just try it. And you may very well look stupid in the process, but that may be, a life and death difference. It'll be night and day, and there's no two ways about it. I saw this quote about it, but you have to be willing to look stupid.
Yeah,
it's just there's no other way to.
And there's another quote I heard. You just got to be Forrest Gump.
You saw that?
Yeah, just be Forrest Gump. And I think Alan was the one that said this one day. If I'm not, Alan is our OP from our office. Is you just got to be Forrest Gump and just do it. If they say that if Forrest Gump was a real estate agent, he'll probably be the number one real estate agent in the country.
Yeah, right? Probably.
Because he doesn't ask questions. He just does it. You can say, hey, man, here, you have to call 100 people a day. You have to meet with 10 sellers a day. You have to go on this many appointments. And what would he say? He would just say, okay.
Right?
Yeah. And he would do it.
Okay, I'll do it. I'll do it, Jenny.
Yeah, and you just got to have that mentality, man. It's just that, yeah, I'll do it. And we were talking about that on the team meeting about having a coach, which – Lee was my coach, Alan. Now I have Jeff Glover and Greg Erlinger, which big shout out to Glover U and Live on Real, because they keep my head on straight. They keep my blinders on as to what I need to do. And I've come to realize that success gets boring too. Sometimes it gets mundane to do the same thing over and over and over, and know that you're, making money, know that you can go and do whatever you want that day. But keeping your blinders on, staying focused, because you know that you have a way bigger goal than where you're at now.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to get complacent where you're at and say, hey, you know what? I'm making $200-300K a year. I can just chill out. I don't really have to go on more appointments, at least not stress about it the way I used to. But no, man, it's like, if I made it this far, why stop? It's like, many people don't know this, but 10 years ago, I was freaking 230 pounds. I was always obese most of my whole life, from late elementary school to high school. I was very obese, and about 10 years ago, which was when I got into trouble, I ended up going to jail for about a few months, and in there was when I really started reading the Bible, started working out, and mainly because I was freaking at a basketball court, and I'm here freaking flabby and chubby, and everyone there is like freaking this. I'm like, man, I got to get my shit together.
Yeah, right.
If I get into something here, bro, I want to make sure I'm able to defend myself. And it's amazing what that energy does to you, man.
Those are times where your back's against the wall and you have to do something now. It's like there are a lot of predicaments.
100%, man.
A lot of predicaments
like
people are in. They're like,
you're thrown to the wolves in there, man. And I was Miami-Dade County Jail, pretrial detention center. If everyone knows what that is, that's one of the toughest county jails probably in the country. And yeah, man, you're sleeping with rats in there, and this is just disgusting. Mm-hmm. But it really made me want to change my life more. Maybe really what I made me really see where I want to take my life. And at that moment, I either chose to go left or chose to go right. And I chose to go right, which was the more positive way, which was getting myself into shape, which was stop making excuses, stop being lazy, stop hanging around the people that I'm not supposed to be hanging around. It really like made myself shift, like a complete 360. And if you know anybody from my high school, or if you meet anyone that I went to school with or from back then, or even my family, they'll completely tell you that David's not the same person that David was 10 years ago.
It's crazy.
And it's amazing to see. I'm grateful to be here, because God knows that only he knows what he freed me from. So I'm very grateful for that. And yeah, and when I think about that, I'm like, man, I made it out of that. I got to where I'm at. I can definitely go a lot farther than where I'm at.
Can you listen to Starter from the bottom when you're... And
Yeah, definitely.
a little bit of Rick Ross, Never Hurt Anybody.
Yeah, man, but it's just been an awesome ride, bro. It's been a great, awesome ride. I'm, very grateful for where I'm at, and sky's the limit, man. It's like another saying that goes, once you reach the top of your mountain, you look up and you realize there's another higher summit. So
Yeah, right.
you just have to keep going.
So do you have a monetary goal, or for you it's just a matter of just doing as much as you can?
Gary Keller says that most people underestimate, or most people overestimate what they can do in a year, but many underestimate what they can do in 5 years. So my goal right now, I'm 30. I'm going to be 31 in October. By the time I'm 35, I would like to have at least a $5 million net worth. And I would like to have I will have at least $20K in monthly passive income. So I wouldn't say a monetary goal. I would say it's more of a milestone. So
It's amazing, man.
I love setting milestones. So it's just something to let me know that, hey, I got to where I say I was going to get to. Now is going to be another milestone.
Yeah, and then once you're there, once you're at that 5 million, 20K a month mark, and you have this same attitude you have, and it's going to be even better, because you're going to have
and that's 20K passive income. That's not including the revenue from my real estate team. Yeah, correct.
Yeah. No, I got
from
that.
my sales. Yeah,
And people might not have kind of put that together, and that's huge. Yeah. So we're looking at potentially huge months. So not potentially, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's a word mistake. So it's just it's so interesting. And at 5 million, I mean, I was saying before, the mentality that you have now, with the confidence you'll have with that net worth, will only compound.
Yeah, for sure, man. And many people think that that's a lot. It's actually not, especially if you're in real estate. I mean, right now we're at a fraction of that, but I know that by us getting the right properties that we need to get, and buying a certain amount of properties a year, and making a certain amount of investments a year, is going to get us that, very, very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Okay, for sure. Well, Mr. Baez from the Baez Group, thank you so much, brother, for coming.
Thank you for having us. For having me.
Absolutely. I'm glad I got to pick your brain. I hope all of you gained a ton from this episode. I will definitely make sure to drop all your social media so people can check it out. Yeah. And hopefully we'll have you on in the future. I will see you in the office as always.
Yeah, as
see
always.
See you soon.
Man.
And we got that transaction to close together, so I'm stoked for that.
I'm excited for that.
Absolutely.
And that's actually and the buyer for that is the owner of the current investment property we're buying. So it's all working out.
I'm glad I'm glad everything got to work out. It's awesome.
Yeah, I did too, man. And it's an honor to be on your show. And
thank you, man.
And keep doing what you're doing, man. I'm proud of what you got going on here, and I'm sure you're gonna be one of the best podcasts in no time.
Thank you, brother. Absolutely. I got a knack for it. Just once enough people see it, we're good to go, baby.
For sure, man. Just the name is gonna catch everybody, bro.
Right? It's nice.
Soothing Semantics. Come on.
Yeah, it's a nice little touch.
The best podcast name I've ever heard, for sure.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you.
It's a wrap.